how does a Prime Minister not know someone has failed vetting for the most important ambassadorial seat in the UK's history, our one-time deadly close ally, America? That's the question, and if true, is absolutely staggering. I mean, I don't grasp, Chris, how a Prime Minister did not know an ambassador to the United States. I mean, less than a year ago, would you say we were close allies? Yeah. 2 years ago, probably before Donald Trump came to power, Britain and America were literally bum cheeks, side by side. I don't personally agree with that alliance, but the reality is that's what they were. How do you not know that man failed vetting?
What a super case of either he just he had blinkers on and wasn't paying attention, or he knew and didn't care.
Because this isn't for getting the milk from the shop. This is the ambassador to the United Kingdom to America. I mean, I know this is government, but Jesus Christ!
It's either willful ignorance or duplicity. So
I see that's the word, duplicity. If the Prime Minister doesn't know who failed security vetting, who exactly is in charge? I mean, that's an important question. If you're Prime Minister, I mean, we're not talking like it's an ambassador to Zimbabwe or Paraguay in the middle of nowhere. You know, small, out of the way countries. You can expect the Prime Minister to not know who if the ambassador or an ambassadorial candidate failed the vettings of that. You can understand that. This is the United States of America, for fuck's sake. I mean, Jesus Christ.
It's like I guarantee you, America vetted all their people on
that side. Absolutely. In fact, Donald Trump's been recalling ambassadors because he wants them politically aligned to his views. It boggles my fucking brain. It really does. And now people are asking the obvious question: how does the information not reach the top? Either someone's failed to tell him, or the system is broken.
Or he literally just went,
yeah. And because, remember, ladies and gentlemen, McSweeney sounds like he's from a fucking goddamn crime series. You know, one of them TV crime series. McSweeney. I can hear 80s fucking theme music going off in my background right now. I might even add that to the video. But no, seriously, McSweeney was the protege of Madison. So that's how he got the job. We all know this. And McSweeney was the right-hand man of the Prime Minister. So I think Chris is right. He probably has been passed through without too much problem. But I have a prediction that tomorrow, Monday morning, PM time, we are going to see a very, very different. And just for record, we're recording on the Sunday. Me and Chris, we record on our Sundays. So if the Prime Minister is fired next week, we've mentioned it beforehand, but you won't receive this till Thursday. I fundamentally think that's both. Either someone's failed to tell him, or the system's broken, but we're likely at both of them. I think we're at both of them without a question. But anyway, as always, I'm Sean.
I'm Chris.
And this is the Blue Collar Workers, and what politics actually means for working people in the UK. And as you can tell, I'm looking over Starmer's career. I think I'm making a bit of a crystal ball kind of prediction that I think he's done.
Should I get a crystal ball out for you?
Chris, I do. I think that this Mandelson saga is getting to the point where it's going to end him. If it doesn't end him tomorrow and next week, when we come to the May elections, which is just around the corner, he's cooked. He's fucking cooked. If this doesn't finish him off before the May elections, you see, now, if I was a Labour backbencher, I'd get rid of him before the May elections. Kick him to the curb now. Use this as an excuse. Yeah? Because you can accept one failure from a Prime Minister. You can accept maybe two. But there's a pattern that's now happening.
A consistent failure.
Yeah. There's a consistent pattern now happening. And it seems to be a kind of like an honest response of ordinary people here are thinking one thing, whilst the elites are thinking another. And the elites are genuinely not considering this as important as they think it is. But Mandelson was giving Epstein fucking back rubs, politically speaking, and encouragement whilst he's fighting fucking paedophile charges. How did that man get to be an ambassador? Rogue fucking elements in government or incompetency at the Prime Minister's table? What do you think? I mean, because you could see both. That's the problem. I can see you could see rogue elements giving him the job and not, because the Foreign Office is one of the most independent parts of the UK. It is not unusual for a Prime Minister to not know what the Foreign Office is doing.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's rogue elements getting him in the job and then fudging the paperwork. So pure incompetency, the President doesn't even...
The Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister doesn't even...
You see,
battle line
that scares me to a degree, Chris. Because because of McSweeney being the right-hand man of the Prime Minister and the most senior civil servant, is the protege of Mandelson. This gives Mandelson a massive leverage in the system. Mandelson was well known in the Foreign Secretary's office. He was known by the office in general. He was one of the mandarins that was part of that group as it is. So when you stretch back to Tony Blair and Gordon Brown's time period, and I mean, that's a bit of a stretch of memory. Me and you can, most people won't. He was in the Foreign Office kind of cliques. So that's where his power base was. So you can understand, I can see a rogue element basically say, oh, it's Peter Mandelson, we know Mandelson, he's a lovely chap, yes, passing by. And that doesn't mean I necessarily think that the Foreign Office deliberately knew that the fucker hadn't been involved in Epstein. I'm just saying that the chums of Mandelson might not have known, and the little vetting officer goes, hang on a minute, oh, don't worry, it's Mandelson, we know him. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's that. The people at the top of the civil servants of the Foreign Office are like, they know certain people and they understand them. Whereas the vetting person's like, boss, really? He's with Epstein and this is a bad look for the Britons. But of course he got ignored. That's what I think has happened. Or the Prime Minister knew he failed, brushed it on because of McSweeney. Both options are fucking horrible.
It just says that the entire system's broke.
Oh no! The Foreign Office having a lack of scrutiny is a massive problem in the UK, and this isn't the first scandal the Foreign Office has been caught in. That's the problem, and I think this warrants us to talk about the Foreign Office having more scrutiny. Yeah, I don't give a fuck how many of them have a problem with that. I genuinely do think. I think
like I guarantee it, the ones that have the problem are the ones that have got dirt that could be turned around in their careers.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I'm under no illusions about that.
Well, I can guarantee you that, as I call the upcoming generation that are stepping into the sector are probably going, well, they're just tightening the grip just to make sure everything's in line.
I think the Foreign Office needs more scrutiny, needs more public accountability. I don't care how politically inconvenient that is for the Foreign Office or how many deals that might jeopardise. I don't care. The British public need to be more aware of what's going on in the Foreign Office by the very nature of the... I mean...
If the people know what's going on in the Foreign Office and it causes issues for the Foreign Office, that says the Foreign Office is doing something it bloody well shouldn't be.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Yeah, let's get that right. If us knowing exactly what's going on is causing issues, it means they've done some under-the-table deals or passed some money across or brushed some shit aside which they shouldn't have done.
Absolutely. The fact that the Foreign Office is shrouded in so much mystery and secrecy is quite a terrifying thing, in my opinion. And the fact that Peter Mandelson's got to this position either by the Prime Minister's dirty dealings, which I'm not ruling out. I'm not saying that the Prime Minister's innocent of this, or the Foreign Office is shadowy. Now, if the Foreign Office wasn't so shadowy, I'd absolutely believe the Prime Minister's accountable. Mm-hmm. But we have a reputation of our Foreign Office doing shit under the table without politicians knowing. I mean, you only have to watch Yes Prime Minister and realise how accurate. I know it's a very old TV programme for many of you youngsters who watch mine and Chris's podcast, but the Yes Prime Minister has an unbelievable tone towards how civil servants behave and act. And there was one scene where he says, who do you think will be in charge? The politicians? And then all the civil servants around the table start laughing. And that's an idea of what Britain should have of the Foreign Office. And I mean, that is tongue-in-cheek. The yes Prime Minister is tongue-in-cheek, but you've got to understand, I've been told, and I've heard conversations on other podcasts, that via ex-civil servants, that's a really accurate presumption for that time period. How much of that is still running in today?
Probably still a lot. If they manage to get their foot in the door that well.
It was like I said, back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, they're still not going to let that position go.
So I've got to say, how much of that, if it was accurate in the 80s and 90s, that the TV sitcom was so popular because of that, how does it look now? How far that kind of sleaze exists? And it's an important question, Britt, because we have to scrutinise our political establishment. We are at the point now where we can't let them. Remember, Nigel Farage is knocking at the door. And I'm sorry to go back to him, but with this level of sleaze that we've got currently, we can't ignore someone who is absolutely a fucking train wreck, like Nigel Farage is going to save the white man. Fucking, the man couldn't save a cold. Fucking COVID would probably put that man down. Fucking just, yeah.
How do you know it hasn't already affected him?
Some politicians should have, there should be a minimal benchmark of a certain psychosis where politicians should be required to take, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Politicians should take a minimal psychology test to see if they're right of mind to be a politician. And if you come into the narcissistic, psychopathic, dark triad level, you should not be anywhere near fucking power for any politician in the West under any circumstances. Just it's a twisted fucking world.
You don't want to know the fact that there's people like that probably exist in the political circle.
Of course they do, because the business world wants them there.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that allow the business world to do what they want. That's why. In Western society, we have these politicians who are evil, maniacal, dark and twisted motherfuckers because the corporate world wants them there because they won't think twice about selling their own people down the river. I was watching, I don't even remember which podcast it is. I think it was the CEO one quite recently. I saw a clip of it on social media. I think I was scrolling, I doom scrolling through fucking Instagram as I usually do. As you've seen multiple clips I sent you. And I saw this clip from CEO. That doesn't mean I watched CEO, the podcast, before anyone gives me a dig. I just saw it as a clip. And he said, train of thought just lost. Fucking hell. He said that certain politicians operate in this way because the business world requires people to be seen as cattle, to be bought and sold.
Damn.
And the billionaires do not view me and you as normal people. Millionaires look at people not differently. Billionaires look at differently from the millionaires. Like they're two stratospheres from each other, is what the CEO podcast was saying. And that billionaires look at most common people, or sections of the billionaires. Like there are good billionaires. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say all billionaires are evil. Okay, that's unfair. That's brutally unfair. But I will say that there are billionaires.
Their view upon us is different.
Is very, very different from that of what millionaires think and for what general society thinks. And I think we need to examine why our political class are so incredibly narcissistic and self-destructive and have so many secrets hiding behind them. It's a very telling approach to civilization and society. I mean, the fact that Keir Starmer can stand up with a straight face and say he's staggered as a Prime Minister that he wasn't told Lord Peter Mandelson failed to pass an initial security vetting check, I call bullshit. You?
I smell something's wrong.
Either the Foreign Office is on a rampagingly different fucking planet to the rest of us, for the point that Sir Ollie Robinson was fired, a senior Foreign Secretary officer was fired over this. And I mean, they don't fire Foreign Office people that often, Chris. That's not a common thing. They don't get shown out the door publicly or like this in very rare occasion. I don't buy that the Prime Minister was unaware of a failed vetting for an ambassador to America. I mean, if I was sat in the Prime Minister's office and someone had even squeaked down the line and you're the Chancellor and you heard someone say, I'm not sure about his vetting, for something as important as America or China or Europe, you're the kind of fucker that would run straight down that line of bureaucrats to speak to the person whose voice you just briefly heard. Just so you can sit there and say, I'm not so keen about this job.
That's because you know for a fact I got a frigging eye for detail. Any glimpse of a stupid rumour like that, I'll be
like I said, you
out
run
like a bloodhound.
straight down the fucking line of bureaucrats. I don't care you vetted for him. I want to hear his opinion. You'd be the kind of person who'll go through the Foreign Office business. Move out of my fucking Chancellor way. What did you say? Why? How? Show me. And which all the Foreign Office people are sitting there shitting themselves because the fucking Chancellor had heard this rumour. His radar dish ears going off. What? I heard that. What's going on?
It's just be me. Say that again. Show me the proof. Come on.
Runs right up the ranks. Don't care. John, don't give him a job. Don't give that motherfucker that job. That's too exposed.
Yeah, but I'll be the one that will turn around and go, he's not getting a job, he's too exposed, turn around, right, which one of you foreign frigging goddamn affair bastards recommended? Yeah, it was you, out the fucking door you go.
Out of the Prime Minister, you want me to call him? Because he'll bring knives. You want to be fired by me, you don't want to be fired by him. He's a crazy motherfucker.
Why is he in charge?
Because he's a crazy motherfucker. He leaves me with the money, he's going to fix the problems. And if you get run over because you're one of the problems, that's why he's the Prime Minister. I mean, the opposition parties have called for him to resign. And I mean, that's all of them. That's fucking all of them.
That says it all.
I mean, the SNP have, the Greens have, the Tories have. This isn't just one big, and we need to stress this. The whole swathe of the opposition, from the Green to the Liberal Democrats, they've all called for him to resign. I think the Liberal Democrats have called him to resign. But the Greens have. We know the Tories will anyway. Kenny Bennock's been trying to knife him for a while.
I should say a fair chunk of them have turned around and said you need to resign.
Yeah.
That's uncalled for literally basically most of your opposition to go, you need to step down.
The Tory leader has said that she was considering every parliamentary option for removing the Prime Minister, but called on Labour MPs to do the right thing and get rid of him. And if he fucking knew, if Sir Ollie Robinson comes out and says, "Oh, my Prime Minister knew," he's fucked, because he's due in 2 weeks to have an interview in Parliament.
Oof.
So I don't know if it's 2 weeks or this week or next week. Well, when he has that interview, if he says, no, Prime Minister knew, he's fucked.
He's gone.
He's fucked.
If you haven't been kicked out the door time, by the time he goes, I knew, he'd be gone.
I genuinely think, and that on top of the May elections, like we were just around the corner. And the cynic in me, I want the Conservatives to do well. I want to peel off my skin. Because I don't want the fucking goddamn Reform to do well.
You're choosing the lesser of two.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just it boggles me, Chris, that either we have a rogue fucking Foreign Office. I mean, neither of these options are right, Britain. We either have a rogue Foreign Office,
which needs to be immediately pulled back in,
like massively pulled back in, or we have a lying Prime Minister who has committed serious offences to Parliament.
Either way, I see a bunch of firings happening.
Yeah, so do I. I sit here and think to myself, what the fuck? How can we sit here and call this an acceptable political position to be in? At a press conference in Westminster, Kerry Bennock said she hopes Keir Starmer will say he cannot hope to continue leading the country due to his incompetence, accusing him of being so blind by his own righteousness that he cannot see what everyone else can see. Now, Kerry Bennock has a valid reason. She has a raison d'etre to want him out, because it'll make her image look better and improve her at the polls. I get that. But it's not just her. It's not just the Conservatives. We've got the Greens, we've got the Liberal Democrats, we've got the SNP. We know there are elements in Labour that are sat there going, this is a problem. This is a severe problem.
I bet over half his party are going, you moron.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, and Chris, it comes down to boiling to 2 points. One, the Prime Minister has lied to our Parliament. Blatantly lied that he didn't know about Mandelson. Or
you and just brushed it aside. Or the Foreign Office.
Foreign Office is fucking rogue.
Is acting independent. I'm not quite sure which one's worse.
So Ollie hasn't yet formally accepted the committee's invitation, but friends of his said he was preparing to appear. If he appears to the committee and says Lord Mandelson's failed vetting was raised with the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer's done. Just done. Like, got out the fucking door, gone. It was December 2024, before an in-depth vetting had been carried out. He formally took up the role in February 2025 and was sacked several months later over his ties to the lately convicted paedophile Jeffrey fucking Epstein. Epstein destroys everything he touches, and Donald Trump is doing his best to try and fucking steer clear of it. I mean, he's messed up in this shit as well.
Even some people reckon that he was a part of it.
I said some podcasts ago, I don't think Barron's Milani's kid. I think he's fucking Ivanka's and daddy fucked his daughter. Those Americans are twisted fucking people in certain parts of power, mate. Incest is not above the fucking table with those people.
No incest isn't above the table.
They're nasty people. Nasty people. Especially the shit that came out of Donald Trump's mouth. There's literally a video of him saying if she wasn't his daughter, he'd have dated her. Who says that about your daughter? Yeah.
That's because the budget Dorito decided to not use his 2 brain cells that he has.
But like I said, and admittedly, that's a conspiracy theory. A complete, my homemade conspiracy theory. I think
the conspiracy theory is only amplified by the lack of thought before Budget Dorito speaks.
Budget Dorito I think she's our age group, so it was in the 90s or 80s he made that statement. If she hadn't been my daughter, I'd have dated her. The fuck? And this is why
that's around the time where they didn't. And
really Epstein was at his height back then, mate.
I was gonna say they didn't really care about incest then, did they?
Well, they don't care now in America. I'm serious. They don't.
No, it wasn't quite in the in the public view.
Yeah. It's nasty stuff that goes on. Like brother and sister stuff is quite taboo in America, in certain parts, but in other parts it's really not. And that's the scary thing. I mean, there are reasons why there are jokes about Alabama and Louisiana and stuff like that. The really deep southern states and some of the smaller areas. We have only the forest here in the UK as an example of what that goes on. But America, you're much bigger as a country, and you have whole fucking states where that thing is at least a rumour, even if it isn't a true rumour for everyone. But Jesus Christ. And that's just one of those things that someone considers acceptable conversation points to talk about their daughter. I mean, do your ears have to dribble out of your brains to have that?
I was thinking, how much electroshock therapy did he have to actually spill out those words?
Jesus, I mean, fucking hell. But yeah, back onto when we were taken on a tangent on Jeffrey Epstein, Dorito man. Peter Mandelson is the wound that is going to probably bring down this Labour government. I've got a prediction that something is going to crack. It's either going to happen in May. I think May is probably going to go.
The May could be the start of the crack.
No, I think this is the start. This is the firing of Sir Ollie was probably the real crack, because that's the Foreign Office. They don't take that shit lightly. You have to be politically bulletproof, white and white to be able to fire people in the Foreign Office, senior people in the Foreign Office. Damn. You know, if you're one of the senior civil servants in the Foreign Office and you've just lost your job, you better be paladinic as a politician, because these are the kind of people who have literally they from the ex-Prime Minister. Another example I give you is you should always send for a minister's MI5 files. That's not a joke.
Damn.
How the fuck does a civil servant have access to an MI5 file of an MP? In or out of government?
That shouldn't be happening.
But that's, and as tongue-in-cheek as that is, that gives you a very clear perspective of what the Foreign Office is like. If they have that much power, they shouldn't. They categorically shouldn't. The Prime Minister has been stated as, what I intend to do is go to Parliament on Monday to set out all the relevant facts as in true transparency, so Parliament has the full picture. He added, number 10 was not told that he had failed security vetting. That is completely unacceptable. Senior Minister David Jones earlier said Sir Ken had not misled MPs when he said due process had been followed and therefore would not be resigning. So, to conclude my section of the podcast today, we either have a rogue Foreign Office, which we Britons have always had the suspicion for, or we have a corrupt Prime Minister who has misled Parliament. Both of these options are bad. Absolutely fucking horrific. I don't know how the security vetting system was not known by senior members. Like I said, that would be one of those things. Me and you come into Parliament, the first thing you would say, as we're looking at all the various jobs, is, has anyone failed vetting? You shouting down the fucking table as the Chancellor. Like, speak now. The Prime Minister. We know the Prime Minister's corrupt. He got on fucking elected because the country thinks he's a madman. All right? We got elected because he is fucking who he is. I'm talking about people who we're supposed to trust. Not the nutcase in charge.
Ignore the Prime Minister. He's passed all public scrutiny.
Because they know he's a fucking dodgy deal.
He's now PM because they want someone of their level. We just need to back him. But I need to make sure we're all shits together.
There's one ex-convict in charge. That's the only person who should be dodgy.
He's the only one. Anyone else? I will be reviewing this process myself.
I fundamentally find it incredulous as a society that those are our two main prioritable positions on Monday. Mm-hmm. He's either misled Parliament or we have a rogue fucking office. And it needs to be said like that. It needs to repeatedly be said. The Foreign Office is either rogue or the Prime Minister is fucking corrupt and a lying bastard and has been caught being a lying bastard to Parliament and misled it. If it's the Prime Minister's misled Parliament, he's fired. He's just fired. If we have a rogue Foreign Office, there has to be an investigation. Because this Peter Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein shit is not going to go away. It's going to linger like a bad smell. Like when I've left the toilet. Chris is trying not to kill himself. You know?
If you go into the toilet, I don't even go next.
Open windows, close the door, come back 10 minutes later.
It's just...
chuck a sand grenade in. But that's me. I mean, I fundamentally have a serious problem with a senior department. The Foreign Office is not some minor department. It deals with our trade. It deals with our contracts. It is a fucking vastly powerful position. If it is rogue, it has to be dealt with. If the Prime Minister has lied to Parliament, he needs to be fired. We need to know which one of them it is, because neither of them are good. And that's my subject for the day. Over on Chris.
I'm going for something different today, because of the fact I was like, let's go for a thing, and that is how politics affect our delightful NHS. Yeah. Obviously, there are several factors. The main ones are obviously political control and the NHS structure. Obviously, I'll go into everything in a bit more detail. Obviously, funding decisions. Where'd that one go? Yeah, funding decisions, workforce planning and how they're paid. I know that comes into a massive part of it. Obviously, legislation and regulation. Obviously, another lovely bit of red tape. and policy direction and priorities, and obviously global politics and external shocks affected the NHS as well due to lovely political interference. And of course, everyone knows our current system has been affected by the lovely pandemic of COVID-19.
Still to this day.
Still to this day.
It has affected the finances of our country all the way up to now. It is still affecting our finances to this very point.
It's just ridiculous. Obviously, we've got the first one, obviously political control and the NHS structure. Obviously, reforms within the government shifting between giving the NHS independence and pulling it back under direct political control.
You see, I do agree with some of the dissolvement that was done over the English, because the English body that was previously controlling it was fucked. It was riddled with mistakes. It had too much of its structure that had been privatised. So it was like having your arm tied behind your back while you're trying to fix the problem. So I fundamentally believe the government should renationalise the contracts that they've sold out, all of them. And I think Labour's not done enough when it comes towards restructuring our NHS, and basically refuse to honour these Tory sold contracts. They should, unquestionably, regardless of what civil servant has a problem with that. You need to turn around and say, look, I don't give a fuck what the Tories said. That was the previous government.
There's also things of the government announced plans to abolish NHS England and bring it back under the Department of Health and Social Care, ending a 12-year attempt to run the NHS at arm's length. This was justified as reducing bureaucracy and restoring democratic control.
I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But I don't think that, as I said, I don't think that the Labour have gone far enough. I think they need to tell the contractors, the private contractors, to fuck off. Because there have been permanent sales of like bits of the NHS have been sold off. It's been partially kind of partitioned, Chris, where it's like PPE was privatised. I'm pretty sure that there's a whole list of them that have basically gone very, very privatised. Let's have a look at what parts of the NHS are privatised.
Probably a hell of a lot, if I remember correctly. Because obviously,
outsources of clinical and non-clinical services into private companies, which accounts for about 10% of the NHS England's budget in recent years. Key privatised areas include independent sector treatment centres for elevated surgeries, mental health services, diagnostics, patient transportation, and cleaning hospital maintenance. Now, I don't mind cleaning hospital maintenance. Yeah, that's fine. You want to bring in a maintenance cleaning company for the NHS, that's fine. Yeah, but we shouldn't be outpatienting care. Certainly not for surgery.
No, I was going to say, I can understand the cleaning sector thing.
Yeah.
In fact, trying to set up your own cleaning company, I know, is exceptionally difficult because obviously you try and find everything.
Yeah.
Regardless of who you are, whether you're the government or anything else.
Yeah.
What's the point in trying to build something when you can turn around and just hire someone that's already
So outside of the cleaning companies, which I don't think are a huge amount of that privatisation, 10% has been privatised. Elective surgeries, mental health services, diagnostics, patients transport. Why are we privatising patient services? What the fuck are we paying for? I mean, that's something that's going to balloon if it's outside of...
if you privatise that, that's just basically adding a paycheck onto the end of your frigging stay at the hospital.
Yeah, absolutely. It affects our tax money. And I think that
leads in nicely to, obviously, funding decisions.
Yeah.
Because, obviously, the government decides how much they're going to put into the NHS.
I think
it's going to be used for.
Clinical commissioning groups, now integrated care bodies, tend services to lowering bids, which may be privatised companies. They've outsourced contracts. I categorically disagree with that. We shouldn't be outsourcing any of our contracts or our treatments. Independent sector treatment centres, private, often foreign-owned companies provide routine elective care to NHS patients. No, categorically fucking no. The whole fucking system, outside of things like cleaning, which shouldn't be a doctor or nurse's job, relatively speaking, outside of hazardous waste and cleaning, our hospitals should be run entirely independently, and we've done it for decades. Why the fuck have we recently? And this is something that came in through the Tories.
Because they wanted to privatise the entire.
Oh yeah, they do. And Nigel Farage wants to do this. Ladies, remember, your NHS is doomed. If Farage becomes Prime Minister, it's fucked. He will privatise it entirely. If you
go to the American system, and everyone complains about the American system because it costs an absolute fortune.
It does. It absolutely does.
Because you've got to consider, if we go privatised with the NHS and turn it into an insurance-based healthcare system, which is what Americans...
No, that's what Nigel fucking Bastard Face wants.
Which is what Americans is. That's an extra bill at the end of the day. And they're not cheap bills either.
No, the insurance policies are not. And then
everyone complains that car insurance is expensive, yeah? Car insurance here compared to America is dirt cheap, yeah?
And health insurance will not be dirt cheap. Because they're going to use an American model. It's not even like the Conservatives would find a cheap version of privatised modelling. Nigel Farage wants an American-style system. He wants American investor mates to be able to buy up the contracts here in the country.
Is Bupa an American company?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it is.
I know that Bupa healthcare currently within the UK isn't too expensive. Not quite America level, but isn't too bad.
My dad
obviously, with fund decisions, obviously after the 2008 financial crisis, which austerity policies introduced from 2010 led to underinvestment, literally basically since the 2008 financial crisis, because it did affect obviously the NHS, because obviously it affects funding from the government, which resulted in longer waiting times, staff shortages, aging infrastructure, declining performance across the 2010s. These pressures were linked to political choices about deficit reductions. So basically they were cutting costs. And I'm sorry, but if anything, you should not be cutting costs in the NHS. You should be... I'll try and think of the word now. Being more efficient with the money.
Yeah.
But not cutting. It's just basic math. Really.
No, it's not. Bupa is British owned.
It's British owned. Oh,
headquartered in London.
That's the reason why it's probably got a better reputation.
Yeah.
Obviously, and the biggest factor I think, which obviously is aiding within obviously political sphere, is obviously the workforce planning and pay.
I find anything involving our NHS being close to being privatised to be an absolute fucking horrific shit show. And whoever's planning this, paying for it, supporting it, and advocating for it needs to be taken out.
They're clearly getting under
absolutely.
The companies.
Of course they are.
So obviously workforce planning within the politics is shaped by the political decisions, because of the fact obviously where the doctors being trained, where they're coming from. Are we providing the correct education within our current education system for doctors to come in through? Then there's obviously immigration rules. Because I know some people go abroad, learn everything because it's cheaper, then come back, and because they've been over there for so long, immigration comes into it. And obviously people that are just born anywhere else and comes to actually here, why not bring them in? Let us have the doctors that are trained from abroad, as long as they're proficient in English. Because understanding each other is a pain in the ass otherwise.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I fundamentally find it difficult to grasp why our politicians aren't doing what's in the best interest for the country, and not just of course.
Unfortunately, people, as much as some of you are going to write, stop doing the money sign. It is a major factor.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately a major factor too.
Especially when the fact that you got to take into fact that obviously we pay taxes so that the
services for
our country, which does include the NHS. I personally think we should turn around and have a choice in how much of the percentage of our taxes gets put where. In fact, obviously, I know each person has different reasons why it should go to different sectors, but there's nothing wrong in turning around and making it say I put 10 grand a year in taxes 6 grand goes to the NHS, and then the other 4 split between the rest. But that should be a personal preference. Or they should at least turn around and go, well, we've got 10 services, they each get 10%.
You see, no, it doesn't work like that, because I think there's a lot of, some of the money, like one of the waste.
I know for a fact.
Some of the money
taxes are used to clear our debt.
Yeah, to be fair, there are other ways to clear our debts, like actually ring fence.
You can't say it's not. I know for a fact our tax money is being used to clear the UK national debt.
What we need to do is take the profits that are made in the north when the drilling restarts. It's going to restart. I know that's a tangent of another story, but the drilling is going to restart. This crisis that's going on in Iran is not going to go away tomorrow. It's not going to go away if there's a treaty between America.
We need to turn around, drill in the north, and I'm sorry, people, make a deal with Russia.
That's inevitable, and it frightens people when you say that.
Why? Because Russia is literally on the doorstep of Europe, which is our friggin' neighbours.
Yeah.
How is that? How is that?
And we're not even pro-Russian. We're pro-cheap oil, cheap gas, cheap materials, and the cheapest, no matter how politically charging it is.
I'm thinking more long term, because of the fact if we make a deal with Russia, think how much less of an issues we're going to have with Russia further down the line if we start doing business.
We're trade partners, of course. The problem being is Germany was for years, Chris, like fucking years. It's what supercharged Germany as the economical giant of Europe.
Yeah,
because they made a deal with Russia, importing their gas, their liquefied everything, and it's because of that. And then the Nord pipe being snapped by the fucking European, by NATO, probably by the CIA. Several other gas inlets to Europe from Russia was cut off. I don't believe for a moment Russia did that. I don't, and that's self-sabotage. It damages Putin's pocket. No one does that. No one fucks their own money when they're at war. It makes no business sense. So yeah, I totally believe the CIA did that, or elements thereof from within the CIA that are deniable.
Or rogue.
And there's no such thing as rogue. On that level, it's not rogue.
No, someone.
Somebody nodded and it got done.
Yeah. Say rogue, an undercover.
Undercover's the more correct term, because
undercover. You
can't call that rogue. That's too strategic.
An undercover sector of the West done it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I fundamentally find that a restoration of Russian resources to Europe is inevitable.
I don't know. I'm going to have to find out why it actually stopped. If it's because of the fact of the West's influence.
No, it was the war. It was the war in Ukraine, mate. Remember, we've been at war. The Ukrainian war's been going on since 22, I think. How long has the Ukrainian war been going on? How long?
Yeah, but even before that, the fact everyone's had a
Ukrainian.
There's been that little niggle of negative influence about Russia, even before the Ukrainian
War. Of course. Yeah. 2022. So it's been going on 4 years.
I think the Ukrainian war just stepped up the negativity regarding Russia.
Of course.
But there's always been that undertone of negativity towards Russia. But it's always come from the West.
Yeah,
never anywhere else.
Of course.
So my thought is, why is Russia such a threat? Or is it just a threat to America's way of life because they offer a cheaper alternative? That's the thought you've got to think about. But that's a tangent. I like going off on tangents. And then obviously going on a bit further from what's it pay. Obviously, legislation and regulation plays. It's basically the red tape sector of the NHS. Obviously, of who cares for what, who is eligible, how services are regulated. Obviously, safeguarding equality and public health rules. Examples include the Health and Social Care Act of 2012, the Care Act of 2014, and the Equality Act of 2010. All of which shape how the NHS operates day to day.
I don't know how.
Yeah, that's literally. I'm not gonna lie. That red tape's an absolute.
Well, that's the thing. It's 326 billion pounds a year.
Yeah.
That falls into waste involving red tape, Chris.
Yeah. That needs to be a thing. Then obviously the big elephant in the room. COVID just fucked everything.
COVID, we're going to feel COVID for decades because of how it's knocked our effects. It came straight after our Brexit vote.
Yeah.
One of the biggest fucking disasters. The biggest damage done to the United Kingdom was Brexit. Unquestionably, Brexit. Biggest damage done, followed then on, straight on by COVID and lockdown. I think Boris Johnson's handling of COVID was probably the most horrific thing I have seen in political history.
Not defending the bumbling idiot. But any leader in charge would have found that hard.
I'll let that. But
yeah.
That's Boris Johnson who did it.
Yeah. I'm not saying that he hasn't caused harm whilst he was doing it. But I want to just state the point. Any PM that was in charge during that would have found that exceptionally hard. Would have such a negative impact from it, regardless who you are. Unfortunately, he's just a bumbling idiot and made it worse. Well, didn't do himself any favours, shall we say, hosting parties when he told everyone else.
Oh, just the man's a fucking tool, absolute tool. 250,000 people died during COVID, Chris.
Yeah. I was in just obviously that was the main points, but got a little section about obviously how between 2024 and 2020 and now 2026 how the NHS is affected. For example, obviously funding for the
233,000 people died during COVID.
That's nuts.
Just from COVID.
Obviously, financial pressure between 2024 and 2026. This is just a couple of obviously things so you know how it's currently going. Between 2022 and 23, and obviously 24, costs did drop slightly whilst running it. But since then, it has doubled from 517 million to run it to 1.4 billion.
Fucking Jesus. And where's this money going?
Yeah. 900 million of capital funding meant for buildings equipment was diverted to day-to-day running costs, worsening the 13.8 billion maintenance backlog.
Fuck me.
So
they moved it to running the business.
Yeah, so obviously 900 million, which was obviously put in to help boost up the maintenance, had to be diverted to day-to-day running. But this is one of those ones. It's cause and effect. The cause of underfunding, which means that you need to invest heavily into bringing the maintenance back up to code. But because the maintenance isn't back up to code, you need to increase the spend in the day-to-day until that maintenance is brought back up. It is a cause and effect, and unfortunately, it's a very nasty one.
Fucking Jesus. Yeah. Fucking Jesus.
It's reached a point now where we need to invest in it heavily, or I can see the NHS unfortunately collapsing.
That's one of the arguments why they consider privatisation. Oh, it's such a mess. Well, you made it a mess, Tories. You fucking built this horrible fucking mess we're in. 14 years of your incompetence led us to this. Just, fucking wankers. Wankers, Chris.
Yeah.
I fundamentally find almost anything and everything that the Tories have touched over the last decade to have been the greatest fucking sin, politically speaking, to the UK's people. How bad was it since we had Gordon Brown? Gordon Brown was moderately incompetent, but genuinely benignly incompetent. Do you know what I'm saying?
He still managed to keep stuff roughly going in the right course.
Yeah. But he was for a Labour MP, for a Labour Prime Minister, briefly that we had him, he was mildly incompetent, but not maliciously incompetent. Boris Johnson was maliciously fucking incompetent.
I say Gordon Brown, he with the correct assistant.
God, we sound like we're Labour supporters. Yeah. I feel dirty.
No, with the correct assistant, he probably could have done far better.
Yeah.
But obviously, you can't always get what you want. Unfortunately, that's just the way of life. Obviously, unfortunately, there has been staffing and workforce cuts.
Yeah.
Within the NHS within the past couple of years. NHS providers ran a £1.1 combined deficit last year in obviously workforce spending. That's just nuts. To meet government demands to break even, trusts are planning to cut at least 21,000 roles by 2020.
What do they do? My question as an outside observer is, what do these roles do? Are they critical to the
I was literally going to say, in what part are you going to make these cuts?
Yeah. Fucking Jesus.
Because if anything, the only thing I see we need to be investing in nurses, doctors, carers. If anything, it should be, how big is your finance workforce? Because I'm sorry, I know there's people which are going to rage, but AI's coming into play now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is going to make them. I hope that can streamline some of our NHS.
I was going to say, I would start using that AI to the advantage
of the
cut the financial sector and use that money to then employ more nurses, doctors, carers, all that. Yeah. I'm
Take
sorry.
Savings for the bureaucratic side.
I'm sorry for the financial people, which are like, I've got it cushed in the NHS on the financial side. AI is coming in, I'll replace your job in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I do not care. I'd rather have the nurses and doctors.
Absolutely, because
than
the
you sat
job.
on your ass.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the job of the NHS is to serve, protect, and keep the life of the British people. It's not there to have a financial department. It's not there to have an administrative department. Yes, you're going to have those on a smaller scale once AI is applied with a human kind of oversight. But we won't need blooming fucking bureaucracy.
Turn around and I reckon if they had 100,000 people within the finance sector employed, slash 75,000 run on 25 with the AI assistants as well, bang, that's 75,000 jobs you can then turn around and apply straight into nurses, doctors,
but they won't. They won't. This is the thing. The private industry will probably claim that they've managed to clean it all up whilst using AI, and thereby pocketing the extra money they've saved.
Nah, screw that.
Yeah, that's why we need to be careful, because this is the talking points that people like Nigel Farage's privatised industries will come from.
No,
they'll talk about, oh, we could save the NHS millions as they're putting it in their pockets, because they're just using the AI to lay off those jobs and not improve our fucking services.
You need to refine the areas that don't need the money expenditure in, but then turn around and divert those funds into areas which do. I sound like such a businessman.
I just, a good businessman that isn't trying to fuck up our country and our people. I find it absurd that we're still talking about the problems with the NHS in 2026 when the politicians won't do what needs to be fucking done. And let's fix the fucking problem for the benefit of all the Britons.
And just to end it on a slightly, I'm not sure whether this is going to be good or bad or anything else, but Stammer's government structural reforms. This is what our current PM is looking to do, yeah?
You mean this week?
hence the reason why I'm saying current, yes?
Remember your Chancellor's up next. She's a candidate, mate. I promise you, the Chancellor is always a candidate if a Prime Minister loses his job.
The government is pursuing productivity drain reforms and scrutiny of budgets across the NHS, merging NHS England into the Department of Health and Social Care.
That's good.
Is expected to generate savings, but the local lenders warn this is happening alongside daily trade-offs that affect what services can be provided.
Whatever streamlines the facility, they need to get them, as you said, the maintenance stuff earlier. They need to make savings somewhere to plough the money into the maintenance problems, to modernise our NHS systems.
Reading everything that I've done so far on this, my only solution to the NHS, unfortunately, is the financial sector is going to have massive cuts. And then the money I'd save there, I would then plough into the essential workforce.
No, I'd stop you there.
No, stop. Because of the fact that's one saving within the system itself, yeah? I would then turn around and from the tax sector that us people are paying into, a greater portion of that then gets put into the NHS. but it's purely for the maintenance.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Yeah.
The maintenance has to be dealt with.
Because you're then us turn around and going, hang on, we're paying extra money in to fix the NHS maintenance side, whilst they've saved money internally and started hiring more and more people with that side.
Okay, I see where you come from.
People would then turn around, hang on, no, my money's being well spent because they've already made the save to hire more people. We're now providing the equipment for people to then use.
Because that tax increase, that tax spending that you'd be doing wouldn't be a permanent thing. Because you need to chase down the maintenance, retire the old machinery, get the new machinery in, and once it's there, you can then let it tick over.
It'd be I don't know.
You probably need to. I mean,
at least a 5-year extra increase.
How much do you think that we need to plough into the NHS to get it up to modernise it?
Really? You want my target? Bear in mind, I would modernise it, completely modernise it. I'll chuck $1 trillion at it.
We don't have that money. We as a country don't have that money.
I would chuck as much as humanly possible at it. Whatever spare money we had, I would throw at it. I wouldn't care. I'd balance the books ever out, and whatever's left will go straight.
Anywhere between 3 to 500, they say.
What, billion?
Billion. 3 to 500 billion, but spread over 10 years.
I'd be chucking 500 billion straight at the books. Yeah. I don't care.
And it'll cost us 38 billion a year by 29-30. Is what was
I'd throw 500 billion in it, because in fact I would be reforming this.
And most of that would be to modernise our maintenance systems.
I'm going to say, change the infrastructure to then take jobs from one sector to put it into the other.
Yeah.
Then the money
and often retrain those. That's the thing. Yeah. Take the admin. If the admin have the skills, have them retrained into nursing.
I was going to say,
at work.
If you slice, as I said, if there's 100,000 jobs within the financial sector and you need 25,000 with the assistance of AI to run it, cut those 75,000, but then I'll turn around to the 75,000, turn around, have you got experience or qualifications within other fields that we're currently looking for, and divert them into that path.
Exactly.
Or turn around and go, I will subsidise so much if you learn how to go into this field.
Yeah, nursing, or which we critically need. We need nurses, we need carers, we need doctors. And we need homegrown doctors. And I think this is an important factor because the NHS takes on a lot of foreign doctors. And it's unfair to train British raised doctors. And I don't know, this isn't a racist fucking point. Before any of them bastards out there call me a racist. I'm talking about actual people who want to be doctors in the UK instead of us importing doctors from foreign affairs.
As I call it, being self-sustaining from your own population. Yeah, that involves brackets.
Yeah, of course.
That's
if I have to hire the whole British Pakistani community to become doctors, let's do that. or hire all the Bengali community as our nurses, let's do that.
Whichever, I won't care as long as it's got the people.
Exactly. And I wanted to make a point of that, but we need a growth of about 3.8% over the next 10 years to clear the backlog, do the mess, straighten out our maintenance, retire the old machinery. We are still using 90s technology.
If they could put 500 billion within the NHS,
you'd have to be careful about how that's spent.
No, I would increase the amount of doctors, surgeries, hospitals, everything. If anything, I'll turn around, there's private hospitals out there that are fully kitted with the best machinery that are privatised. I'll buy those fuckers out.
Bupa, you've been bought by the Chancellor. Bupa has 1,200 hospitals.
I would absorb Bupa into the NHS. Actually, I'll turn around and turn the NHS into Bupa. So,
Bupa executives, you're being brought on board for the UK. Why? Because I'm buying your business UK-wide. They've got holdings all over the world, so not just in Britain. But yeah, I think you could probably make a deal. Buy Bupa fucking UK, swallow it, and basically then use it as to expand the NHS with. That's not a bad idea.
I would swallow every single private company.
But they're the only ones. They're the only real ones to speak
There's no field as well.
Yeah, what are they? 12, 13 hospitals to the 1,200 Bupa.
Yeah, no. That's the thing. I'll swallow every single private one.
Oh, you got 3 or 4? I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'll just turn around and go private sector. Mine.
I'm buying you all.
You are now all employed under the NHS. Unfortunately, that does mean a wage cut for most of you because I'm not paying stupid salaries.
All those doctors who thought they were getting paid 190 grand, goodbye.
You may stay on this wage.
As I said, goodbye.
No, you would have to offer them the thing. Go,
You know, Chris, they're not going to take 100 grand pay cuts. They're going to move abroad. We're going to have a break.
what's the average NHS doctor paid?
Between 70 to 90.
70 to 90.
And
that
private.
That would be a 100k pay cut. I wouldn't care. I'd be like, I'm absorbing you all, but unfortunately that does mean I am streamlining it and making it all financially possible. I'm not having my doctor roll up in a fucking Porsche 911 Cayman GT3 RS with a fully funded 6-bedroom mansion.
No, starts at 30, but for the very senior parts of the country, it's 145.
What, NHS?
NHS. So the top consultants are 135.
Well,
Chris, the private sector starts at 70 and climbs to 190.
Well, to be quite honest, I think most of the senior ones wouldn't mind taking 50k pay cut.
Oh, I don't know.
If they really care, if they really value the care of treatment.
Specialist doctors make 100 to 114. Salary GPs can move anywhere from 50 to 114.
Is that private or NHS?
No, that's GPs are NHS.
NHS. Yeah.
So they have a wide range depending on how many years they've got in experience. So remember, if you've got a doctor who's done 30 years in the NHS and he's a GP, he's worth his fucking money.
I was going to say, I'm expecting A-class care.
I'm saying. But yeah, specialist registered highly trained can get up to 70 grand. Specialist doctors, all specialist doctors, kidney doctors, all of them over 100 grand. The whole fucking, their entry's 100 grand. So if you're a specialist in kidney problems and you know everything about the kidneys.
Yeah, but that's where the private sector, if they're getting paid under 90k, but then they know for a fact they specialise in one field, they just move into speciality sector and keep their wage.
No, not really, because their top end is only 120. They're gonna. All private doctors will take a pay cut once you've taken them over.
I'm here to serve the people, not your fucking bank balance.
and yeah, we're going to take you to court. Sure, I want prime ministerial privileges. Now I bought you, and you made my boss do it. Because once you're fucking with people, that's another. As we're coming to the end of our podcast today, we will be talking about prime ministerial privileges. I am going to talk about, because that is a subject that is rarely spoken about.
And what exactly can he do?
Outside of murder, almost anything.
That's a lot of power.
Outside of murder, almost anything.
I would say that's a lot of power.
A huge amount. The Prime Minister's privileges from the King. In Constitution, the privileges of the King are known as the royal prerogatives. They are a set of powers, rights and immunities historically vested in the sovereign, most of which are now executively of the use by the Prime Minister. Appointment of the Prime Minister, summoning and dissolving Parliament, royal assertions, weekly audits. Legal immunities, the fountain of justice. Sovereign immunity, the King cannot be prosecuted for crimes. State functions, head of the armed forces, the King is, founder of Earth. Special personal privileges, no driving license, no passport. Royal we're going to go into the royal prerogatives. There are powers that the Prime Minister's office can exercise that could absolutely reshape Britain. Like it's just like when people say, "Oh, Christopher acting as the Chancellor would nationalise all of these hospitals, give a fair deal for the investors, and absorb them." If they were to be fought by the doctors taking it to court, Prime Ministerial privileges come into play that I would just write, Christopher is allowed to do this because of royal prerogative. And that's done. That's just done. It's game over. Because the court can't ignore royal prerogatives. They override the court's authority. Now this is where Parliament starts to ping pong backwards and forwards, and you better start talking to your RMPs about why you're doing this. And if they're on board, they're saying, yeah, no, we've got the Chancellor's back. He's buying these hospitals to modernise the British NHS. And buying them stuff.
I'd make it the best healthcare in the world.
Absolutely. And I think buying Bupa and the other...
Which I'll then turn around and I'll go to my...
Foreigner, we would absolutely have to have foreigners to pay. That would... Because that's something that's always been dodgy.
I'd definitely go into... Who's in charge of immigration?
The Foreign Office.
I'll go straight to the Foreign Office and going, no more free passes.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you mean? They come in, they get a bill if they use NHS. Unless you're a pure born British in the UK. It ain't coming.
Yeah.
You ain't getting the free healthcare.
I think that's a hybrid system that some Tories have favoured. And I can see you favouring that too, where foreign-born nationals, people who are residents but foreign-born nationals, have to pay into the NHS, and where born nationals don't.
Yeah.
And that's considered unfair and unjust in certain circumstances. But I can see you, because you've always been centre-right of conservatism. You're not as bad as those batshit crazy fucking nationalists, but financially you're more close to conservatism than I am. I used to be a conservative involving social care, social integrity, conservative values, until they went batshit crazy. And me and Chris have both agreed that the Conservatives are far too close to fucking reform and restore our nutcases, every single one of them. But thank you for coming to the end of our podcast here on this. Our special is going to be recorded very soon, a couple of weeks now. If you haven't subscribed, like to subscribe.
In a week Tuesday.
Week Tuesday, yep. Please do so. As always, I'm John, Sean, or Yahya, depends on who you're asking.
I'm Chris. Hope you have a smashing day.
Salam
and
alaikum.
hope you watch our special where you get to meet
Discipline Dollar. We know her name, so we're being a bit more careful.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.